Hi, it's Marty again, and I'm back for my third and final installment on my collection of classic sci-fi movies from the 50s and 60s. It's The Fly. And if you remember The Fly, it's a transporter story where a scientist invents a transporter. Unfortunately, a fly gets in with him when he tries to transport himself, and in the end he comes out with the fly's head. The fly comes out with his head, and all hell breaks loose after that. And of course there were two films that came after it, Return of the Fly and The Curse of the Fly. And I've seen Return of the Fly also, very good. And the third one, Curse of the Fly, I haven't seen yet, but it's got Brian Donlevy, so it has to be pretty good. And this is a really great packaging. Besides that, there's a book, Fly Collection, and then they put them in separate. Like this is the documentary and a featurette on the fly. Here's The Curse of the Fly, put them in their own separate little DVD cases. There's the original Fly, has Vincent Price, by the way. And then Return of the Fly, also with Vincent Price, which is also very good. So that's The Fly. Another one of my favorites is Journey to the Seventh Planet. This twofer also includes Invisible Invaders, and both of these films have John Agar in them. John Agar, the king of the B sci-fi movies from the 50s and 60s. And Invisible Invaders is kind of a zombie film in which aliens take over the bodies of the dead, come after the living. Journey to the Seventh Planet is a trip to Uranus, in which when some scientists and space crew lands, and they discover Earth-like atmosphere, but what they don't know is that there's an intelligence on the planet that would like to take their spaceship to return to Earth, and so he's playing on their fears and on their knowledge, and he creates an atmosphere that looks like what they're used to from their own home planet. So it searches their minds, finds this stuff. Here's The Last Man on Earth. And this was a book by Richard Matheson called I Am Legend, which was remade recently and called I Am Legend. This was one of the early versions of it. In this one, a virus causes people to mutate and become zombie-type creatures. And in this story, in the original story with Vincent Price, the zombies are fairly slow. You could actually outrun them, but if you hid in the house, they would eventually tear your house apart. They'd be able to get to you. The Beast from 20,000 Phantoms. This is a Ray Harryhausen creature, and he's very well done. I believe he invades New York, comes down the coast after he's unlocked. I think he's unlocked from the ice up in the North Pole. This one's pretty darn good. He's a very good creature, as you can see. You can look at the very end, you can look for Levian Cleef in a role in which he's a sniper, and he's the one who puts the creature out of its misery in the end. Journey to the Center of the Earth. This is a little larger budget, and it has James Mason in it, and of course Arlene Dahl and Pat Boone. And very nice sets, very colorful movie, well done. It goes along with the original story pretty well, but there's no women in the original Journey to the Center of the Earth novel. But they had to put some in to create more interest in the film. Very good. This one's worth owning. Here's the Criterion edition of Robinson Crusoe on Mars. And I remember seeing this when I was a kid. I saw it at the drive-in theater, and I loved it. Of course, it's kind of tinted red a little bit, so that you get the feeling you're on Mars. What they didn't know in those days was that you couldn't breathe. There was not enough oxygen on Mars to breathe. And they also didn't figure in the fact that temperatures are way too cold for any human to live there without a spacesuit. So it's a little silly in that respect, but you got to take it into context, and when it was made, say around 1960 or so, 64. Yeah, the beautiful Criterion edition. This one's definitely, this was at the top of my list, and when it came out on Criterion, I was so glad to see it. The Thing from Another World. Stars James Arness as the Thing. And probably because he was about 6'4", he was perfect for the Thing. This one's really great script. and the people play it very well. It's a black and white film. Has a lot of really quick pattern. The dialogue and the conversation goes by really fast. If you leave the room for a minute, you're going to miss a lot. Who would have known that a thing from outer space would also be more or less a plant? And that's what it is. This is a Howard Hawks movie. It's very well done. Worth the price of admission. The Time Machine with Rod Taylor and the beautiful Yvette Mimieux. Everybody knows the story of H.G. Wells, the story of a scientist who builds a time machine, goes into the future thousands of years, comes across the Eloi, and the Eloi are being victimized by the Morlocks who live on the ground. This is a very nice version. It's a George Pal production again, just like War of the Worlds, and well done and beautifully photographed. Definitely worth having. First Men of the Moon. And this is another crazy scientist type story in which a gentleman develops a anti-gravity formula which he puts on a large sphere, and they just kind of take off and rocket to the moon. At least it was a little bit realistic in the fact that it took them a couple days to get there. But of course they find insect colonies inside the moon, these living creatures that are kind of like insects, and they live in the moon, and get a little trouble with them, but it's a really great story. And 70 years later, when people actually land on the moon, they discover the remains of some of the things that these people left. King Kong versus Godzilla, and I don't know what to say about this one. It has a great wrestling match at the end between King Kong and Godzilla that, you know, is just WWF stuff. They're rolling all over the ground and like kind of punching and fighting each other. It's really amazing. It's really well done. The only problem with it is that it's not in the original Japanese, it's in a dubbed. And there were a few changes made when it came to the United States. They added a few scenes here and there. I think they added, you know, at the end there was an earthquake, and they added more action, a little more action. They found some other things to throw in there. But I remember seeing this when I was a kid. I saw it in the matinees, and it's pretty good. Still looks good. Looks very good. Kong Island is really great. In this one, they do a nice job on that. Here's a pair of films that have Ray Harryhausen creatures. These are both awesome. Mysterious Island, of course, the Jules Verne story. It's the sequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in a way, because Captain Nemo shows up at the end. It has giant creatures, the giant bees are wonderful. Giant lobster. It's a really good one. So the Voyage of Sinbad I saw in the theaters when I was a kid. In fact, I saw both these in the theaters when I was a kid. This one's also beautiful. Has some really great Harryhausen stuff. And it's about Sinbad, you know, saving a young princess who's been shrunk down to about that large. Last but not least, it's Raquel Welch in 1 Million Years B.C, which is, you know, pretty ridiculous. I think they knew at that time that dinosaurs and humans did not coexist. But in here, the cavemen do have to battle dinosaurs. So, you know, what do we know, right? Hollywood knows better. That's beautiful Raquel Welch, as I mentioned. Or did I mention that? I probably did. It has the stone people and the shell people. The rock people and the shell people. People live inland and people live on the shores. And the story of the clash of two cultures. It's pretty good. It has a great volcano ending, with earthquake ending. And definitely worth having. But anyway, there you have it. That's the rest of them. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to take this guy out, edit it. In the meantime, have a great day. Stay humble. And take care. Peace.